I want to welcome everyone to the Stress-Free Systems Summer School because systems are awesome, but sometimes they're a real pain in the ass to create. All summer long, our expert teachers have been helping us create workable systems that help us reduce stress, free up time, and make our life a little more enjoyable. I'm Jess. I'm a systems expert myself, and I'm Julie's assistant at Business Guided by Nature. If you're a client or part of the Redwood Circle, or if you've been on our summer school calls this summer, we've likely met, but if you're new to us, it's very nice to meet you. For those of you that don't know Julie, she's currently on maternity leave, but she helps hardworking coaches, consultants, and healers grow rooted, blossoming, burnout-free businesses modeled after the way that nature works. Julie's a firm believer that if we step off the obsessive productivity hamster wheel and tune into nature's rhythms, that we can grow more sustainable lives, businesses, and even a better world. Creating workable, usable, stress-free systems is really a key part of Julie's vision. So she created the summer program so you could learn some skills and tools throughout the summer that will help us better systematize our businesses. All these systems that we always say that we're going to create as business owners, this time we've all really carved out some time throughout the summer to actually do that. They do take some effort to take and time to set up, but they really are worth it in the end. We're going to do a couple technical notes and then I'll introduce our teacher for the day. Our guest speaker is going to teach for the first 45 minutes or so and then answer your questions. You can pop questions into the chat anytime and we will get to them during our Q&A time. If you've not used Zoom before, you can find the chat down on the bottom of the Zoom. I believe it's to the bottom left. Also, our recording of this call is going to be up in a few hours on the main event page. Today, we're really excited to bring you our last week of summer school class, Holistic Super Moves to Fill Your Meetups and Workshops with the amazing Jessica Hadari. Jessica supports ambitious women trailblazers to lead with pleasure and mend the world with divinely guided rebellion. And just a few years ago, Jessica was suffering from chronic pain and on food stamps because of debilitating illness. She was guided to learn how to live a pleasure-guided life of radical self-care and deeply nourish herself with divine guidance and better boundaries. Now she runs a successful business in the six figures centered entirely around collaboration and showcasing the brilliance of women. Working only a few part-time days a week, Jessica spends most of her time in deep gratitude for her journey from dark night of the soul into self-love, sisterhood, and light. Jessica, we're so very excited to have you today, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow, it's such a pleasure to be here. I can't really think of any other way I'd rather be spending my Tuesday morning. And thank you so much for holding the space so beautifully in Julie's stead. And my thoughts, highest prayers and intentions are with Julie and her family as she's in this sweet time with her little newborn, which I'm excited to, I think I'm visiting next week. So I'm so excited to meet beautiful new life. So thank you so much, all of you, for being here. I know that she just mentioned that the Jessica S. I'm Jessica H. Jessica S. Just mentioned that I'd be teaching for about 45 minutes, and I really want this to be interactive, so I'm actually going to be asking you to unmute yourselves and to discuss with me. So this will be hopefully less me talking at you and you actually in conversation with me. And so happy to hear folks here that I recognize. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So let's see. I wanted to just set a little bit of context before we dive into this topic, which is all about filling your events, whether that's workshops or webinars, live or online. This can all apply. And I wanted to just say that I feel grateful to be in this conversation. I feel like we're all in this time, this paradigm, this moment in history where we can be celebrated for being earth-guided, divinely guided activists and entrepreneurs and healers, and that I'm really holding, I know with you, and I want to thank you for being the kind of entrepreneurs and healers that would be here in this conversation about breaking the mold around what it means to be spiritual and successful, what it means to be earth conscious and spirit conscious and prosperous at the same time. And I just wanted you, I noticed that most of you are muted, so I'm going to invite you to type your answer to my question in a moment in the chat box. And my question is in just a word or a phrase. So it might be more of a feeling, it might be a concept, it might be a sentence or two of what would it be like if the money, the power, the prosperity was in the hands of healers and light workers like you. So I'll take a moment to wait for your answers. The question is, what would the world be like? What would our culture be like? What would your community be like? There's no right or wrong answer if the money, the power, the prosperity was in the hands of healers versus right now, for the most part, corporations, he who shall not be named that is our president. Beautiful. Kelsey says, so excited to hear what you are teaching today. Thank you, Jessica. She says, peaceful, connected ease. Yes, beautiful. I'll wait for a few more answers here. I see Reed, Anne, Candace, Claire. I see Adam and Tamar. And then there's somebody who looks like they're calling in. Beautiful. Kelsey says, calm. Adam says, sounds so fun too. Yeah, loving. Yeah, because the organizations that we would fund, if the money is in our hands collectively, and the nonprofits that we would start, and the checks that we would write, and the money that we would give, and the things that we would create as healers in prosperity is very different than what is currently being funded for the most part. Oh, Kelsey, okay, great. Thanks so much for clarifying, Kelsey, that the caller is also you. Tamar says, healing the earth, changing society. Absolutely. So I just wanted to step into this conversation with us all connected to this bigger intention around prosperity and breaking the mold of what it means to be spiritual, earth-centered, and successful. So, and to create a sanctuary here, because I know that you're all here because you're ready to elevate your higher calling and to live now as the holistic leaders of tomorrow. And many of you are. So I just want to thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm Jessica Hadari. As Jessica S. Was saying, that I have a business that's centered entirely around collaboration. I do produce events. I've been producing events for, oh man, about 20 years. I can't believe that. About 20 years. And I have a business I have a multiple six-figure business. So my business earns multiple six figures in revenue. And I'm going to give you what I have to give you today, and then I want to let you pick my brain. So I'm going to give you plenty of time. Let's see. I'm just looking at notes because I want to make sure I give you as much as I can in the little bit of time we have here. So as Jessica was saying, I just want to give you a brief understanding of my story, and then we're going to go into content. Before we go into my story, I want to give you a free gift. This gift is completely free. I'm going to put it over here in the chat box for you. You don't have to opt in. You just click it, save this link. This is for you. It's a little free gifty from me. This is a PDF guide that I created about 10 years ago that is still relevant, and it's called Jessica's Super Connector Secrets. So I run a community of thousands of women. I'm connected to many of the community leaders in the Bay Area because collaboration is a foundation of my business. It is like the foundational cornerstone of my business rests on collaboration. This PDF reflects like ways that you can be out in the world networking, but to network as a super connector, to network, to establish yourself as a community leader, to establish yourself as an expert, to establish yourself as someone who is immediately trustable. So this is for you. I'm not going to go through it, but please save the link, take a look at it later. This is actually not the content I'm going into with you today, but I wanted you to just have a little add-on because there's only so much we can get into today while we're together. So this is my free gift to you. Please save the link. And let me go ahead and just pull out my notes here for the content, because we're going to dive in. My intention for healers everywhere is that this is a year of releasing tired old paradigms, tired old paradigms of the lone wolf mentality, the belief that you have to build your business all by yourself, the burnt out business hustle. And I love so much that Julie Wolk is so in alignment with ease, spaciousness, calling on the energies and the wisdom of nature. I also believe that this is a year of releasing the tired old paradigm of the starving healer, which we talked about a little bit a moment ago when we were talking about prosperity. All of the tips that I'm going to give to you today are what I call six-figure strategies. I use them. My 6- and 7-figure colleagues and friends use these strategies, and they are appropriate for you at any level of experience, even if you're just starting out in your business. So, are you ready to talk about filling your events, getting people into your events, your webinars, your live events? Please type yes if you are with me, if you are paying attention and you are ready to dive into the content portion. Adam says yes, thanks Adam. Anne says yes, thanks Anne. Just Adam and Anne. Tamar, yes. Thank you. Thanks for playing. You know, it's so easy. Thank you, Candace. So good to see you, Candace. I love it. Yes, she says. Kelsey, hi, Candace. I love that you all know each other. It's so important. We're sitting at our screens. You know, if we were live, we'd be lighting candles, we'd be sitting in circle, we'd be breathing together. And so it's great for us to just create limbic connection with one another, even though we are sitting at our screens. It's easy to zone out. So before we go into our content, please take a moment to take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale with a stretch, sigh or a sound. Let's just do that one more time. If I was in control of the controls, I would unmute you so we could hear each other, but just in your own space, take another deep breath in right into the center of your heart. Exhale, release. All right. Okay. So I'm going to give you 4 tips to fill your events. And then I want you to take notes if you have questions, and we're going to open it up for lots of Q&A. We're going to have lots of time for Q&A, so please take notes. And then Jessica S. will unmute you a little bit later, and we'll address your questions at the end. So the first tip is what I call freebies. So this is, before I go into this concept of freebies, free things, let me just ask you this, and you can type your answers or you can unmute yourself. Completely fine if you want to unmute yourself. My question is, what thoughts and feelings arise when you receive a gift? When you get something free, especially if it's unexpected, but when you receive a gift, what are the thoughts and feelings, the experiences you have when you receive a free gift? That's my question to you. Thoughts and feelings that you get, that you have when you receive a free gift. Awesome. Anne says, oh, cool. Gratitude, love, excitement, excited. Good. Great. Thanks, Anne. Thanks, Candace. Kelsey, gratitude, excitement, happy. Yes. So there's this saying that, and I will possibly botch this because I don't have it written in my notes. It's like this concept that when people meet you, they won't necessarily remember what you said, but they will remember how they felt when they were in your presence. So one of the tips to filling your events, whether it's a webinar or a live event, is to, with the registration for your event, to offer a free gift. It could look like this, like, not only do you get access to my such and such an awesome event. So in my example, I have, for the last 10 years, I have run a monthly networking salon in Berkeley for women light workers to come together, to connect, to share wisdom. It's called Fem Talks. And I'll share with you a link a little bit later when it's appropriate. And so I have really enjoyed playing around in the past. Like, when you buy your ticket to come network with us, then you also get this free gift. And it might be a downloadable, like the Super Connector Secrets that I just gave to all of you. It might be access to a webinar in addition to the live event. It might be, I haven't published a book, but it could be, if I was an author, a copy of my book. It could also be something that they get when they arrive at the event. In fact, that's probably better, because it's going to give them incentive to actually show up to the event. Like, hey, when you're at the event, I'm going to be giving you this free gift. At my events, oftentimes the women who speak at my events give free gifts. So peppered throughout my events, women who come to Fem Talks know that they're going to receive a lot of resources throughout the event. But I want to just presence the feelings, the thoughts and feelings that you all typed here. Oh, I just saw this note from Claire. I'm on my phone, so using chat is not so easy, but I'm here and engaged. Thank you so much, Claire. That you were all saying gratitude, excitement. I appreciate Adam's thoughts about sometimes feeling a little skeptical. So it depends on the context. So I understand that, feeling skeptical when you receive a free gift. But ideally, if somebody is already saying on the fence about saying yes to your event, or they're already a yes to going to your event, that free gift is just going to give them a little more enticement to actually show up. Because they're going to, in addition to the awesome content that they'll receive at your event, they're also going to get this extra bonus material or a little bit of a deeper dive. So it's generous, it doesn't cause you any extra work, and it's a great way to just get butts into seats, to get the people who've committed to say yes to actually show up that day. Because we've all had the experience of saying yes to an event, and then life happens, something happens with your kids, you feel a little under the weather, but you're not really sick, but you'd rather just sit at home and watch Netflix or whatever. We've all experienced that experience of, even if we paid for a ticket, sometimes not really showing up to the event that we signed up for. So in this world of many, many, many distractions, we want to create an experience of excitement, of gratitude, of the ingredient of generosity before people even arrive, that they're like, yum, something about this feels yummy. Something about this person feels yummy. Okay, I'm going to feel more inclined to actually show up to the event. So let's just take a moment. I'm going to give you a moment, about a minute here, to just jot down on your computer notes, on your phone, or on a piece of paper, jot down some ideas for free gifts that you might give at your next workshop or webinar or event. In fact, if you have a moment to just jot your ideas right here in the chat, that might actually serve the other people on the call. So if you're able to chat, you can share your ideas for a free gift you might give to your people when they show up to your event. So I'll give you about a minute here to jot down your ideas. And I want to invite you, while you're writing, to stay connected to your breath, to remember that these ahas and ideas that you might be writing down right now are coming from this this place of spaciousness and connectedness. Beautiful. Kelsey said a free downloadable meditation. Gorgeous. Qigong or yoga routine for creating balance, ease, calming, better sleep. Yes. PDF like you shared with interesting, unusual tips. Absolutely. Good. Thank you, Kelsey. Thank you, Adam. I'll give you about 20 more seconds just to create your own notes or to share them in the chat. PDF of my goddess coloring book. Oh, or excerpt from Magdalena Path book. Beautiful. 5-day email mini course. Gorgeous. Oh, Anne, hi. So great to see you. For some reason, there you are. Oh, so great to see you, Anne. Just clicked. I'm like, oh, I know her. Awesome. Beautiful. Such beautiful ideas. So that's my first tip for you. Let's see. My second, we're moving on to content number one. I'm going to type this in. Number one was freebies. That was the first one. Number two is actually a mistake that I see people make all the time. Oh my goodness, even like really established entrepreneurs, I see making this mistake and I'm like, hey, what is going on? So the second piece is a mistake, which is not giving enough time, like enough lead-in time for your event. So I want to just take a moment to take a breath and to hold the intention that you would approach your business with the same mindfulness and the same deliberate conscientiousness that you would approach any other part of your life. I work mostly with women, and so I'm surrounded by women, and when I see women in the community who are, let's say that they're getting married, they're engaged, they're getting married, they're planning their weddings, these beautiful, important days of their lives, a year at least out in the future, often. Not always, it's nice to be spontaneous sometimes. Or planning forward for events centered around your children, or planning forward for your birthday, or planning forward in time for the vacations that you take. But then I see the same women giving such tiny little lead-in time for their events that sometimes it feels like their events are reactive, like they planned this event out of a place of scarcity, like, oh, I need to make money, I better create an event. Or, oh, I wasn't thinking ahead, my event's coming up in 2 weeks. So I want to just invite you to take the same deep self-care of yourself and your business and the same deliberateness around your business and planning your business strategy, and to think about planning out into the future. So I have to plan my events often a year, sometimes 2 years out into the future, because I have bigger events. Anywhere from 60 to 200 women attend my events, depending on the event. And that means I have to rent a certain size event space. And event spaces that size require sometimes a deposit like a year or two in advance. I'm also booking guest speakers and people who are out there speaking professionally on a regular basis, authors, luminaries, people who have woven speaking into their business as a client attractor. They are often booked a year, sometimes 2 years in advance. So I'm not saying you have to plan your events a year or 2 years in advance. I've been doing this for 20 years. But I want to just take a moment to close your eyes, drop into your breath. You can place your hand on your belly or your heart or any place that maybe just needs a little extra touch or presence. And I want you to think about a future event, real or imagined. Just draw it up in your mind, a future event. And I want you to imagine yourself there speaking to the people in the audience. Maybe you're sitting in a circle, maybe you're in more of a workshop configuration, maybe it's theater style. Just be thinking of like the look and feel of this future event. Maybe it's a webinar, feeling connected to the people that will be there. And I want you to just take a moment to think about what would need to be in order for your event to feel well thought out, well planned, spacious, to think about some of the steps, the tasks, and the conversations that would need to happen beforehand. Aside from marketing, what are some of the steps, tasks, conversations that would need to happen well ahead of time? And just be thinking about that. If you're having a little bit of a hard time dropping in to thinking about the steps and the tasks, that's okay. We're only going to stay here for one more breath. So just take a moment to take a deep breath in and out. And I want to just, whether you've created events before or whether maybe you haven't created an event, I want you to take a moment to type into the chat here some of your ideas of the tasks, some of the planning, the conversations that might need to happen well ahead of a well thought out event. So there's no right or wrong answer. It's just from your own experience of going to events or creating your own events. What are some of the things that need to be thought out ahead of time so that the event, when people arrive to your event, they feel like, wow, this is a really well produced event. So I'll go ahead and just give about a minute here for your thoughts. Any tasks, to-do items, things that make for a really well thought out, well produced event. Any thoughts? Greeted well. Anne, I'm so happy that you said that. Yeah, I've definitely shown up to events where it's like, where do I go? Where's the bathroom? Where's the welcome table? Is it upstairs? Where's the event? So yeah, to actually have a conversation with maybe having volunteers that warmly greet people as they arrive, to safe-port people from the very moment that you invite them to the moment they arrive to your event, to the moment that they find their seat, that they are warmly welcomed, that they feel safe-ported. Thank you, Anne. The guest is expected. Yeah, beautiful. At my monthly FemTalks events, I always have a team of greeters. I always try to have like 2 or 3 women greeting women as they arrive at the front door, just saying, hey, take the elevator upstairs, bathrooms are up there, grab some tea when you arrive, so people feel like they know exactly what to expect. Any other suggestions of what creates a well-produced event? Sorry, my necklace got a little askew. Anne, great ideas, Anne. Anne's on fire today. Any paperwork is seamlessly delivered and then out of the way. Okay, great. Stick to the timeline and schedule. Awesome. Great. Thanks, Anne. Any thoughts from Tamar, Adam, Claire, Reed, Candace, Kelsey? I know you've all been to events, so even if you haven't produced your own events, I know you've been to events and you probably notice like, oh, that thing happened and that wasn't very well thought out, or that thing happened and that was really well thought out. Any thoughts? Good. The visuals of the room are pleasing. Very nice. Yeah, plenty of room to move around tables and chairs. Also, I always weave in a lot of movement and dance and moving meditations in my events. So we have to structure things so people have plenty of room to move. Managing time, care for all of the details of what my guests might need. Yeah, so really sitting in meditation before the event, like well before the event. And actually thinking about all of the possible scenarios, taking in your mind's eye, the client journey from the email that they receive with all of the event information, a reminder email the day of, what is the parking situation going to be like for them, any guidance you can give for them around parking, making that easy. People are more likely to show up if they know parking isn't going to be a hassle. The address is clear, any directions. And then in the event, like what is the flow of the event, as Anne was saying, a timeline and a schedule, which also allows you to like know what your client is going to be, the progression that they're going to be taken through, the arc, the emotional arc, the energetic arc, the logistical arc. Adequate time for marketing, outreach, network, invitations. Thank you, Claire, so much. I know it's a little bit harder for you to interact because you're on your phone today. So important, so important. We're going to get to this piece in a moment, or a piece of this in a moment. When I'm producing my events, one of the reasons that there are always every month at least 60 women at my networking event every month is because I don't market my event by myself. I've got always a team of other people spreading the word to their email lists about the event as well. And so I love what you're saying here, Claire. It's like plenty of time to actually have conversations with the other people involved in your event, with the other people out there promoting your event, so they have the information that they need. Plenty of time for your own marketing, outreach, networking, invitations. Beautiful. So we're not going to spend any more time here, but I have to presence this because I see it come up again and again and again. Right now with my clients, I'm having them plan their October, November, and December and January events. If they are producing events, they're looking out 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 months in the future. This is something I'm inviting them into so that they have plenty of time to just fill their events, to show up, to be in their genius, fully centered. So that's really what I want for all of you as well. Oh, we've got 2 more content points, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A. Let's just take a moment to find a stretch, take a breath. Notice if there's any place in your body that's like clenched or gripped or militant. Business can be fun. We're having fun. Yes. The enjoyment, the libidinous experience of enjoying creating in your business. That's what I want for you today. That's why I'm having you do all the chat. So we're in creative brainstorming mode. There's no shoulds. There's some concepts and ideas, but really this is all for you to pick and choose what's going to work for you, what's going to fit really well for you and your unique personality and your unique business. Let's go ahead and go into our final 2 content points, and then I want to open up for questions. So take some notes, take some notes. Okay, so number 3 is also a mistake. I kind of wish my notes were a little bit written better here because this sentence is a little weird, but we're going to put number 3, which is also a mistake that I see, is not using your pricing as an attractor, the pricing for your events. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because there are events that cost $10,000 and then there are free events, and there's validity around all of those things, about that whole range. So what I'm going to do with this content section is make a distinction. And you can ask me more about this later because I want this to be clear, but sometimes I've noticed in the past when I try to explain this to people, sometimes it takes a couple cycles. So the distinction is that there are 2 different kinds of events. From a business model perspective, there's 2 different kinds of events. The first kind of event is is like an intro. It's like an intro event, an introductory event. Let's call it an enrollment event. So sometimes called an intro event, an enrollment event, an introductory event. So it's the first kind of event. An enrollment event is usually free or low cost. And the intention for that event is to get, ideally, as many people in the room as possible. Though I've definitely seen enrollment events that are purposely kept small and intimate. But the enrollment event is usually a low-cost event where the purpose of an enrollment event is to get people into your field. People that may know you or may not know you, that they're coming to get a taste of your energy, that maybe you're giving a talk, or it's maybe like a day-long or a half-day workshop. Some people do 3-day live events as their enrollment event, so it depends. There's many different ways that this can look. There's no shoulds. It's a way for people to find out, like, who is this Kelsey person? Who is this Adam person? What are these teachings of Anne's or Candace that I've been hearing about? I've been hearing about this person, and now they have this live event that could be a webinar, it could be live in person. And people are coming into your field to get like the deep cut of who you are and what you have to offer, and to come into understanding of how your work, the work you do in your practice or out in the world, can benefit them, can change their lives, can aid in their transformation and their self-transformation. So the intention of the enrollment event is to get people into your sphere, and then ultimately to then offer them a natural next step. What I usually call is a stepping stone, where you're offering them. It could be like, for one example, could be that you have a one-day intro event. Maybe it's a Saturday workshop. And then at that Saturday workshop, you're creating intimacy, you're leading them through exercises, you're teaching, they're having a great time, they're laughing, they're crying, they're really experiencing your genius, and you're in your genius, and you're being witnessed by them and calling them into that experience. And somewhere towards the end of the day, you'll then offer them, like, hey, there's actually this even deeper work that we can do together. And so you would make an offer for something, maybe it's like a 4-week circle or a 3-month program or an invitation to work one-on-one with you. So that's an enrollment event. Get people into the room so they can meet you, and then offering them and funneling them into deeper parts of your business. There's a lot of, like I said, there's no right or wrong. There's many different ways that can look, but number one is an enrollment event. The second type of event is a fulfillment event. So let me write this down. Fulfillment event. So a fulfillment event is something like a retreat, or it could also just be an evening. It could be a webinar. It's an event of any kind that's included in a program that they've already paid for. So let's say somebody has purchased your $2,000 program or your $5,000 program, or your $500 program. They've purchased a program from you, and it includes a retreat, or it includes some kind of event or circle or series or something like that. So that's a fulfillment event. So the mistake that people make is kind of mixing the two up. Like, if I create an event and I charge $3,000 for that event, I'm just expecting people to just come and pay me $3,000, and maybe they haven't even met me, or they haven't worked with me for a long time. Like, it's going to be a hard work to fill that event, because I'm asking people to go from 0 to 60 miles an hour in like 2 seconds. It's like I'm asking people to get married with me, but we haven't even had a first date. So if I'm going to have an event and it's, $3,000, it can be helpful if it's part of a bigger program. So I'll leave it at that. If this is conjuring up concerns or questions or confusion, please write those down and ask me. Where ideally I'm wanting to, kind of the first thing I offer to people, I send an email out to my email list. I'm inviting people in at into an enrollment event where people get to meet me. And then from there, I'm offering my bigger, deeper packages. So let me give you an example because it's easy to get kind of swirly. Let's say that you create a one-day workshop. It's a Saturday workshop, and then 30 people attend that workshop. And let's say at the end of the day, people have had a wonderful time. At the end of the day, you offer a 4-week circle, let's just say. Just something super easy to bite onto. And let's say you charge $300 for that circle, just to make it super easy to wrap your brain around. Let's say 15 people say, you know what, yeah, I want to work deeper with Anne, I want to work deeper with Reed. Yeah, I'm going to do their 4-week circle. So they do the 4-week circle, and included in that circle is a one-on-one call with you, where they get to maybe like dial things in a little bit deeper, have a little bit of more intimacy with you, a little bit of your time and attention. So those 15 people, they have a wonderful time. They do your 4-week circle. They have their one-on-one call with you, which is included in the price. And let's say you use some of that call time to invite people into your deeper $2,000 package. I say 2,000 just because that's like kind of a common number here in the Bay Area. I definitely know people who have $30,000 packages. I know people have $500 packages, but let's say 2,000. Let's say 10 of those 15 people say, yeah, I do. I want to work with you for 3 months or 6 months. I'm going to pay you this $2,000. Awesome. That sounds great. From that one intro event, that one Saturday, where you invited people into your stepping stone, which is your 4-week circle, and then 10 of those people end up signing up for your $2,000 package, then ultimately you trace that back to being a $20,000 event. More, really, because those 10 people bought your $2,000 package, 15 people bought your stepping stone. So from that one intro event, that one enrollment event, you enrolled people into your world. Some of the people said no, some of the people said yes. And from the people that said yes, that essentially earned you a little bit over $20,000. What if you did that 4 times a year? What if 4 times a year you did a Saturday workshop? Give or take, I'm just using numbers that are really easy to do math with, but let's say that you rinsed and repeated that 4 times a year. That's an almost 6-figure business right there, just from those 4 workshops, those 4 one-day enrollment events. And that's not including any speaking you might be doing out in the world. That's not including clients that come to you organically or through other means or through networking or client referrals. So events can be a powerful way to invite people into your world and then to take them on a journey, to lead them through a progression that can be incredibly profitable without a lot of work running around social media, SEO, etc. It's like just get people into your energy. Oh, awesome. Claire says, what pricing would you suggest for that kind of one-day event? That's a great question. I want to field questions at the end, but let me take a moment to answer this. Most one-day events that I see are like $47 to $97. So the intention is not necessarily making money right at the beginning, although if you're like, the intention for the enrollment event is to get people in and then signing up for your bigger offers. But if you had 10 people showing up at 97, that's $1,000 right there. Or if you have 20 people, that's $2,000 just from ticket sales. So you can still earn some money or cover your overhead through tickets. But yeah, it seems like that's generally what I see. It's like the intention is keep the ticket low, get people in the door. It could be as little as $25, but you also want to invite people in who are willing to make a certain level of commitment. And I think the 47 and 97 is just kind of a general range. So we'll open it up for more questions in a moment. That was very heady. We did math. We talked about numbers. Talked about concepts. So let's just take a moment to just kind of Shake that off. Woo! I'm going to give you your final content point, and then we're going to open up for a nice long round of questions. So let's just take a moment to take a breath. Breathe all the way down to the bottoms of your feet. Feel yourself rooted down into the earth. Send your roots down into the earth, past the floor that your chair is seated on. Past the foundations of the building, down into the moist soil, moist summer soil, down past the soil into the bedrock of the earth, down past the bedrock of the earth into the warm molten core of the earth. And just take a moment to breathe in some energy and sustenance from Gaia. All right, so let's go ahead and go into our fourth little fourth content piece. So number 4, final content piece is, I'm going to put this in capitals, collaboration. Oops. There we go. Collaboration. This is the most important content piece because I don't know anybody who has a 6 or 7 figure business that includes events that is filling their events all by themselves. So for example, when my past mentors, Charlotte Jacobs, Jesse Corin, Bill Barron, Sahar Kordahi, PG Van Tool, Marissa Murgatroyd, just to name a few, Mark and Shannon Granger, they create these big 3-day events that maybe have like 200, 300, 500 people in them. And I'm not saying that that's what you should strive for. I actually like smaller, intimate events. I cap my events because I like when the energy is a little more contained. When they are promoting their events, they've got 20, 30, 40 other people sharing their event with their email lists. I'm not saying every time you produce an event or a webinar, you've got to have 20, 30, 40 people on your team promoting your event. But what my invitation to you would be, every time you create an event, and we're talking about an enrollment event, an event where people are coming to you. They're not already part of your program. It's not already included in their program because you don't need to market events that are already part of your program because people have already paid for them. So an enrollment event, a webinar, intro workshop, networking event, intro workshop, some kind of workshop. When you are creating your next event, that you've got at least 4, maybe 5 other people promoting your event for you. So the way this looks like in my world is, number 1, I keep a running list of people that I know, love, and trust. Know as in K-N-O-W, that I know them, I love them, and I trust them. And also like me, a running list of people that I know, love, and trust that I would love to collaborate with. Like, I just love them so much. Like Julie Wolk is one of my favorite. I love collaborating with Julie. I love that she invited me to be a part of this. I love inviting her to be a part of my things. So Julie Wolk is one of those people that I know, love, and trust. She's on my list. She's on my list of collaborators. So I create a list of possible collaborators. And as time goes on, that list gets longer. 2, if I have an event coming up, usually about 3 or 4 months before the event, so well in advance, sometimes as much as 6 months in advance, I reach out to a few of those people on my list of collaborators. And I say, hey, I'm creating something new and exciting. I would love to hop on the phone with you and find out how we can support each other this year in our businesses. And so I'll hop onto the phone with Julie and we'll have a wonderful conversation. You know, hey, how's the baby? How's life? what are you creating in your business? Here's what I'm creating in my business. And then I'm in that moment of connection and understanding what we're both, our business goals, and being in mutual conversation. Then I can say, hey, I have this event coming up in a few months, and I think it would benefit the people in your community. I would love for you to promote this to your email list or promote it on Facebook. In return, I would love to promote your event that you're creating. So you promote my event, I promote your event, because the more resourced our clients are, our networks are, the better. We want to elevate both of our communities and interweave both of our communities. So that's one example of creating the list, reaching out to people on the list, having conversations of possibility. Those conversations of possibility, like the one that I just role played imaginarily with Julie, are often very magical, because it is in those conversations of possibility that oftentimes is where I get additional speaking opportunities, invitations to be a guest speaker or teacher like I am right now. This opportunity arose from me and Julie having a conversation of possibility. Doorways and opportunities that you would never have imagined will open to you when you start on a regular basis having conversations of possibility. I'll put conversations of possibility with your collaborators, with possible collaborators. Sometimes it's not always a right fit. The timing is wrong, or the goals are not aligned, or, whatever. But it's worth having the conversations, because something good always comes out of these conversations. It's like, how do we as light workers, as healers, create more win-win situations in the world? And it's like the change that we're looking for. It's like that, be the change. If we want more of a collaborative win-win world, that really the revolution starts with us. So create your list of collaborators, reach out to your list of collaborators and invite them into conversations of possibility, and find out ways that you can support one another, truly support one another, really benefit you and really benefit them. There's something when it really is an even win-win that is perpetually nourishing. If there's anything that feels draining, that's a good sign that you haven't really dialed in the way your collaboration yet. If there's a feeling of draining in your body, then that's good to pay attention to and be like, can we revisit this conversation? Let's make some tweaks with our agreements to collaborate with one another. So conversations of possibility. So please consider, when you create your next event, to already have lined up 3, 4, 5 other people who would happily, joyously share your event with their networks. And you can offer lots of awesome things in exchange. You can offer them a free ticket for them and a friend to come to your event. You could offer them a vendor spot at your event. You could offer them a small guest speaking spot at your event. You could offer something not related to the event, where you promote my event, I promote your event. So the other thing I'll say about promoting other women to my email list is that it gives my network more resources than I can give them. I'm a business coach. But sometimes I know women in the community need support around their vitality through nutrition. Or maybe I know that there are a lot of women in my community who are really interested in living really conscientious, elevated love relationships. That even though it's not necessarily directly related to business, I know that women in my community are really interested in having conscious, mindful relationships. And so I can promote other people to my email list that are complementary to the content that I can give them, and to promote people who are experts in those fields to my list, so I don't have to provide all of that. I can really focus on what I'm passionate about offering to the people in my community. So that's really the fourth one, is filling your events and programs collaboration, to intermingle communities, to get community leaders on board with what you're creating, and to collaborate them, and to let go of the tired old lone wolf paradigm. So, and I think whether you can relate or not with being a lone wolf, I'm a recovering lone wolf in like, I do it all myself. It used to be my motto. And I think we can all agree that that's a very tired old paradigm. My business popped into six figures as soon as I started to weave collaboration in as the main focus of my business. And now I have a multiple six-figure business, and I only work 3 days a week because I am not doing everything myself. I am in these wonderful, generous collaborations and partnerships that are truly nourishing and serving. They attract me, those collaborations attract me clients. They attract my partners' clients. It's just wonderful. So we're going to open up into Q&A. Before we do that, we're going to take a breath, and then I want you to take a moment to start creating a list of people that you might consider collaborating with. You don't have to reach out to them. Just create the list for right now. Step one, create your list. A list of 4 or 5 people that just pop into your mind that you're like, maybe I'll reach out to that person in September and see about collaborating in some way. See what's available. So go ahead and start making your list. And then Jessica, I'm ready to open it up for a Q&A whenever you're ready, dear.
Cool. Very good. If anyone has any questions, you can feel free to unmute yourself or pop them in chat, whichever you prefer.
So you can continue writing your list of collaborators, and when you feel ready, sorry, I've got the hiccups. When you feel ready, you can go ahead and type your questions into the chat, or better yet, at this point in the call, you're welcome to just unmute yourself. I'd love to hear your lovely voice. I may have to ask you for clarification, so it might be helpful to hear your voice. And I don't know if Kelsey can unmute herself, because I think the audio part of her call is through her phone. So we may need to unmute her. So Kelsey, let us know if you want us to unmute your phone. No questions? I did that amazing of a job. I can hardly believe it. Hardly. Any questions? Tamar, Reed, Candace, Kelsey, Ann, Adam, Claire?
Jessica, I'll ask a question. This is Claire.
Hi, Claire.
Hi. And just as a side note to the other Jessica, we can only see you from like about your nose up. So if you can adjust your screen, we could see your whole face. But that wasn't my question. My question is, you were talking before about when we were talking about events and creating more time for lead in for events, and people working now on events that are in October, November, December, and January. So I'm wondering if you have like a rough sketch, not like a detailed thing, but just a rough sketch of like, what are the things you start to do, 4 months out, or 3 months out, 2 months out, 1 month out? Do you have this sort of?
Yeah, that's a great question, Claire. Thank you so much. And yeah, just off of top of mind, I love that you asked for a rough sketch. It would definitely be setting the date. That's helpful, even if you don't have a space dialed in, although oftentimes having an event space and a date go together. With webinars, not as much of an issue. So that would be the first thing, because once that date is set, there's something energetic that happens on a commitment level. It's like, oh, this event is happening. Obviously, reschedules happen, but ideally, once you've started to promote the event, you're not going to change the date on people unless there's an emergency or unavoidable. So there's something about setting that date that, for me, energetically clicks things in a little bit different way. I notice that I start to receive downloads about that event once the date is set. It's almost like the universe is like, oh, you're serious. Okay, great. Let's give you all of the guidance you need. And then I would say once you have the date set, that's actually a really great time. You know, I would say like a good 4 months in advance. I'll give you the reason why that 4 months in advance. To start reaching out to your co-promoters, which is what we just talked about, your collaborators, because, so for example, sometimes when women in my community reach out to me, they're like, hey, I have this awesome thing, and I'm like, that's great, that's exciting. They're like, will you promote it to your list? And it's like, because I'm an event producer and I have my events scheduled a year in advance, I already have my marketing calendar also has to be in alignment with filling my events. So I can't always be a yes when it's a last minute request, like, hey, my event's coming up next month. It's like, I've already scheduled all of my emails. I can't fit more emails in, or it's the people on my email list are going to feel like they're just receiving too many emails from me. Come to this, come to that, come to this, come to that, you know. So we want to really treat our email list with reverence, especially those of us who worked really hard to build our email list. It's a relationship, it's a community. And so if you're reaching out to other community leaders or women who have big lists like me, you got to give us plenty of lead-in time so that we can easily say yes. It's like, oh, far enough in the future? Yeah, I can definitely weave in an email about your event. So I would start, as soon as you set that date, to reach out to people and say, hey, here's a heads up. Let me know if you're available, and then I'll send you everything you need to promote the event easily and effortlessly. And then that's another piece. If there are other people promoting your event, or even if it's just you, it can be helpful to pre-create your marketing materials. What are the blurbs that you're going to share on Facebook? What's the correct link? What's the email version? Sometimes there can be 2 or 3 different email versions that speak to different aspects of the event, so that different people kind of hear it in a different way. Oftentimes people have to hear about an event a couple of times before they say yes. So to kind of plan some of that out. And the great thing is, if you do this event over and over again, like I was saying, to do that one day Saturday intro, that concept that I spelled out a little bit earlier, if you do that again and again, you can reuse all of this groundwork you're doing, all these marketing materials. You just change out the date and you can rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So those are a few things to be done ahead of time. I always like to procure a team of volunteers. So because I've been producing events for a while, I have these like tried and true women that I can always call on. At this point in the game, I actually pay. I have certain paid positions just because there's certain things like registration, setup, cleanup that need to be done in a specific way. And so, but I always have women who volunteer to be greeters, because women, well, I speak to women because I have a women's community, but probably men and women, they love to greet. It's a great opportunity for people to be greeters at your event, because then they're already a familiar face. It's a great networking tool. Anytime you go to someone else's event, like if you're going to your friend's workshop or event, ask them, hey, would you like some help with greeting? I'd love to greet people as they arrive, because it without taking the spotlight away from the person whose workshop that is, it just gives you a presence, a warm, welcoming presence in the event. So it can be a great networking tool. Like, who are you? I met you earlier when I came in. It's just a great way to meet people and presence yourself in a way that's still very respectful to the person whose event it is. So volunteers, and just thinking about things like signage, what will need to be printed out in terms of a guest list. How's that going to work? Is it a spreadsheet, or you just print something out from Meetup? So just be thinking about the logistics of some of those things. That you get a little nitpicky. If you're accepting tickets at the door, how are you taking that money? Is it just a check, which most people don't have with them? Cash, most people don't have with them. So how are you running credit cards? Is it just on your phone? Do you have some other system? So those are some things to be thinking about as you get closer and closer to the event. I always like to check in. The final thing I'll say, I like to check in with the event space to run certain things by them. I always serve. Some spaces allow that, some spaces don't. So if you need a projector, if you need a flip chart, are they going to provide those things? So just kind of dialing it in with the event space, I think a few weeks ahead of time is helpful too. So is that helpful, Claire? Just a few little...
Very helpful. Great ideas.
Yeah.
And stuff I hadn't thought of, so thank you.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Thank you.
The VA and me appreciates all the little nitpicky things too that you have to consider. Thank you for mentioning those. I'll give anyone else, if you have any other questions, a moment to unmute yourself or stick them in chat. If not, we'll go ahead and close.
It looks like Tamar's trying to ask a question.
Yeah, I just presenced myself. Hi, Jessica.
Hi.
I'm really not interested in doing live events, but just online events and offerings. And clearly, it's a lot more complicated and a lot more details and, more moving parts to do the live version. So I know that in terms of if you want help promoting it, the same calendar requirements prevailed, which is like what you said, people's promotion calendar gets filled up. So I think the timing is the same in terms of if you want someone's help, you need to approach them a few months in advance. But other than that, I'm assuming it's less complicated to be doing it online.
It can be, and actually, if it's let's say it's a webinar, you actually don't need as much lead-in time for a couple of reasons. For the co-promoter who's going to maybe send an email to their list, yeah, you might need the same lead-in time. However, with a webinar, so okay, I'm gonna say it. I used to fill my events almost exclusively through Facebook. Years ago, back in ancient times. But Facebook made so many changes because they want people to pay for ads, which are also not as effective as they used to be. But they want their money. So they've made it much harder to promote events on Facebook. However, there is a loophole. It's not really a loophole, but kind of a cool thing. If I create a Facebook event for my webinar, and then I ask Julie Wolk and Jessica and Candace to invite people to that Facebook event, not post it on their wall, not share the event, but there's a way when you go to the Facebook events and you click share event, and then there's a drop down that says invite friends.
Yeah.
It's this pop-up box pops up, and it allows you to go over and click on different groups you're a part of, and it usually gives you a select all option. And so I can't as the event creator, but you as my cross promoters can each invite 500 people to my event. So if I get 4 of you to invite 500 people to my event, then that's 2,000 people invited to my webinar. So for webinars, Facebook events can be very effective. For free events, especially webinars where people get a Facebook notification, it's starting now, and then they click and then they're on the webinar, or whatever system you've set up for them to join the webinar. It can be very effective. And I don't have to worry about, as the person promoting your webinar, I don't have to worry about weaving it into my carefully crafted email schedule. It literally takes 2 minutes. I can take 2 minutes to be like, hey girl, I got your back. And I'm going to go ahead and invite 500 people to your thing.
That's fantastic. So they still would have to opt in to your mailing list to get the information, or would the information just be on the event page?
So that sounds like a separate question. So the question, if I understand correctly, is if you post your event in Meetup or on Facebook, or send a message through email, yes, ideally, those people will need to click some kind of link into an info page where they have to sign up for your webinar, because you want people to get onto your email list.
I understand. I'm asking because I used to use Facebook events, and a lot of people thought that simply by saying yes to the Facebook event, they were on the list.
Just make it clear at the top.
Yeah.
And then now Facebook offers a ticketing section when you put the link. It's more obvious these days.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
I really gave up on Facebook events a while ago.
The only thing it's useful for is the cross promotion.
Okay, because I think they also narrowed the amount of people that you personally can invite to like 200 or something.
It is. They do. They sometimes it's only 45. Sometimes
oh my God.
But for other people, can invite 500. So that's the loophole.
So that's the whole thing. Thank you. I didn't know that at all.
It's fancy.
That's fascinating. Thank you. That's very good.
Thank you, Tamar. I think we have time for another question. I'm open. I'm here. Take advantage. I wanted to take a moment just while we wait for questions to invite you. Now, unfortunately, this is just for the ladies. So Adam, and I'm not sure if Reed is female identified or male identified. So this is for the female identified folks, is to come network with me. I was mentioning earlier, I have a networking event every month in Berkeley, September through June. Our next topic is harness the power of your dark feminine, but it is a networking event. It's a networking event, and then we happen to have workshops around different themes, from money to intimacy to entrepreneurship to empowerment. So femtalks.org, you can join the email invitation list, and there's a little blurb here about Femtalks. So that's just an invitation for the ladies, or female identified individuals, because we are here in the Bay Area. But let's, when we close out this call, these links are all going to go away. So make sure you copied my free gift that I gave earlier, no opt-in required. And feel free to head over to Femtalks. You can do that afterwards, but just save the link. One last question. Anybody? Candace, Reed, Anne, Kelsey, Adam, Jessica.
I just want to say I really enjoyed this and really appreciate your teaching.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Candace said Femtalks is amazing. Oh, thanks, Candace. I'll see you soon. No questions. This was valuable. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. It's like after all these years, it's like I know this stuff, and I'm like, is this helpful? So I'm glad that it's helpful. Great. Oh, Kelsey, awesome. I hope that you come. Wonderful.
It's definitely helpful, very helpful.
And I'm easy to access. You know, you can message me through Facebook, come up and talk to me at Femtalks. I'm friends with Julie on Facebook, so if you are a Facebooker, you can message me privately through Facebook. I'm a pretty accessible person.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I would love to go if I were in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
That is the problem when you're online.
Yeah. Well, I just wish total success and prosperity to all of you. I know that you're in such good hands with Julie, and I'm so delighted to serve in any way. So great to see so many familiar faces here today, and so wonderful to meet some new light workers. So thank you for doing the work that you do out in the world. I'm sorry we didn't have time to go around and for me to hear what you're creating. I love that, and that just wasn't the focus today. But so much love to all of you. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Jessica. I want to thank you for this great class today, Holistic Super Moves to Fill Your Meetups and Workshops. And I want to thank everyone for joining us, not only for this class, but this is our last class for all of our summer school classes that you have been at. Thank you so much for being with us. And we'll send out a note later today when the recording's up.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jessica. Just, it looks like Claire wasn't able to open the link, so, oh great, she got it to work. All right, I was gonna say maybe you could send it to her, but.
I'll put it in the email anyway that goes out in a while.
Oh, thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica.
Have a great day. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you. My pleasure.